What a frickin' mess. Ugh. What a mess. Hello everyone. It's Adam. Hi. Today is the morning of December 11th, 2021. Want to go to Mall 205 today, which is supposed to be the most dead mall in the Portland area, and see how the Christmas shopping season is treating it. Join me, please. Hi, my name is Adam, and one of the things that I like to do is walk through neighborhoods, through the woods, through parks, and on mountains. I like to walk. So join me, and together we'll take a step to see the world. Now, the first thing you'll notice about Mall 205 is that the stores with an outside entrance, much like the previously covered Cedar Hills Crossing, are doing well. Inside, it's a different story. What the fuck is this crap? So I come in expecting a dead mall, and instead I find a magic card expo. Okay, well, let me look beyond that, though. This is Mall 205 is another enclosed mall in the Portland area. It's supposed to contain more than 20 stores, which, given some of the other malls I've been looking at, isn't too impressive. But what is impressive is that it includes the largest Target in Oregon. Also includes another in a long line of unnecessary Home Depot outlets, a DMV that is somehow still open while the one at Lloyd Center was closed, some shoe store, and another stupid fitness center that you wouldn't catch me dead in. That's why I'm walking. Now, rumors and the Portland Mercury news organization really want people to think that this place is haunted. And going into the history of the location, could be clear why. In short, crazy people lived here. Crazy Alaskan people lived here. Now, the Mall 205 location, or the site, was formerly the location of the Morningside Hospital, which closed in 1968. That was when New York-based developer Lenrick Associates announced plans for Mall 205, an enclosed shopping center with 50 stores that would cost a measly $10 million back then. I don't know how old my viewers are, if I have any viewers, but some of you from back then, if you lived in the area, might remember that hospital. I don't know. So Mall 205 began construction in June of 1969 and opened in September of 1970 with U.S. General at first, and then Montgomery Ward and White Front as its anchor stores. White Front closed in June 1974 and was replaced with mall space. And in 1978, Emporium and Payless drugstores opened new stores in the former White Front space. Otherwise, the mall didn't change a whole lot throughout the 1990s, even though it had competition from larger malls in the area. A pretty big multi-screen movie theater and food court were originally planned for inclusion in a 1996 expansion of Mall 205, but the theater never appeared, but a food court was added in 2003. And as I walk through here, I'm wondering where the heck it is. In 2001, both Montgomery Ward and Emporium both closed the last of their stores, leaving both of the anchor spaces vacant at the Mall 205. As a result, many inline tenants began to leave the mall. Oak Center Properties of Gresham, Oregon, which is now known as CenterCal Properties, acquired the mall the same year and began a $20 million renovation, adding a 2-level Target store. Like I said, pretty big. And Home Depot opened also on that former site of the Emporium. And the center was again sold in July 2014 to Jarity in a $76.5 million deal that included the neighboring Plaza 205. And as I said, a few places outlets want people to believe that this is a haunted location. As I had said, it was location of the Morningside Hospital, which is a psychiatric hospital in the Portland, Oregon area. For nearly 60 years, the hospital sat at a 47-acre parcel at the junction of Southeast Stark Street and 96th Avenue. It was formerly agricultural land, and I guess that site was developed as a psychiatric hospital complex and working farm in 1910. After World War II, though, many of the farmers in the surrounding area retired and their land was developed into suburban communities. The rising population increased consumer demand, and the under-construction interstate freeway promised easy access to the area. Now, the hospital was founded in 1883 by Dr. Henry Waldo Coe. In 1905, Coe purchased a building from the Lewis and Clark Exposition and moved it from the exposition site in northwest Portland to Mount Tabor, where it was converted into a psychiatric hospital. 5 years later, Dr. Coe moved operations to its final location. During its early years, the hospital went by several names, including Dr. Coe's Nervous Sanitarium, Mind Ease, Mount Tabor Sanitarium, and Crystal Springs Sanitarium. In 1904, Morningside was awarded a contract from the U.S. Department of the Interior to care for mentally ill and mentally handicapped patients from the territory of Alaska, who would constitute the bulk of the hospital's patients throughout its tenure. Patients had previously been sent to the Oregon Insane Asylum. Between 1905 and 1968, nearly 5,000 patients were admitted to Morningside, not including the roughly 40 admitted monthly on behalf of Multnomah County, which used the hospital for emergency care. After Dr. Henry Waldo Coe's death in 1927, Morningside was taken over by his son, Wayne Coe. Although not a medical doctor and not knowing what he was doing, Wayne Coe acted as a hospital administrator and eventually as chairman of the Henry Waldo Coe Foundation. In 1955, Morningside came under attack after a bill was introduced by U.S. Representative Edith Green, Democrat of Oregon, to transfer care to Alaskan patients to Alaska. Makes sense, kind of. Questions of financial impropriety raised during hearings led to an investigation of the hospital by the U.S. General Accounting Office in 1956. By this time, Wayne Coe's son, Henry Coe, had entered the family business. The Coes were accused of using hospital funds for personal expenses like, trips to South America and Mexico, beach property in Gerhardt, and a ranch in Stanfield, Oregon. Now, the Coes were also accused of outrageous abuse of privilege, including the use of patient labor for home and hospital building and maintenance. It's kind of under the guise of occupational therapy. At least they were learning to do something. Now, the Coes denied the charges, defended the hospital practices, and called the investigation rude, uncivil, insulting. Ultimately, no criminal charges were filed for some reason, and Morningside was fully reaccredited in 1957. By 1964, though, Morningside's reputation had recovered to the degree that it was featured in an Oregonian article about its success as an open hospital. Under the open hospital model, patients were controlled through drugs rather than lock and key. Now, the Alaskan Mental Health Enabling Act was passed in 1956, and Alaskan patients began being removed from Morningside to new facilities in their home state. The Coes attempted to reorient the hospital. In 1960, they announced that the transfer of 210 patients from Morningside will enable the Portland Psychiatric Hospital to begin taking patients locally. The Oregonian reported, Hospital officials feel that Morningside's present facilities and rehabilitation programs geared to both mentally ill and mentally retarded can be adapted to private patients with a few changes. Morningside was never able to recover from the loss of Alaskan patients, however, and attempts by Henry Coe to find a buyer who would continue to use the facilities for medical purposes were unsuccessful. In the summer of 1968, the last 3 patients were discharged and Morningside officially closed. The property was sold to Lenrick Associations, a private contractor, and the hospital grounds were used for construction of the Mall 205. You know, as I'm walking around this place, and I see a whole lot of, it looks like Magic Fest has taken over the mall. That's kind of surprising. Now, Magic Fest was another magic store that opened in the Beaverton Mall, which is now the Cedar Hills Crossing, in about 1992, 1993, and it eventually moved over to the Mall 205 after the Beaverton Mall went under reconstruction and turned into the Cedar Hills Crossing. I'm just surprised at the amount of signage and of shows and stuff. This looks like this is the normal center kiosk for it, for the Magic Fest, and it's closed today, which is surprising. I mean, there's like probably a good 1,000 people in here today. dead mall or not. I mean, this would be, a good chance for business for any of the proprietors who still work out of this place. Anyway, just interesting to see. I came here expecting a dead mall, and I gotta look at it like most of the places in here seem closed. A lot of these places are boarded up. It's just hard to tell that it's a dead mall with all these people walking around and milling around these tables here. So there's business here today. This is the height of the shopping season for Christmas, but this is a card expo. This is not anything you would normally find here, probably. But thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe or something.